Emergency workers have responded to nearly 3 times the number of calls in the area of the Methadone Mile so far this year compared to all of 2018. WBZ's Christina Rex explains why that section of the city is seeing a spike in addicts.
There's always something going on here.
Needles line the ground as dozens struggling with drug abuse line the sidewalks in the area of Boston known as Methadone Mile.
People, a lot of stealing, you get desperate people.
Al Raskin was once a client at the nearby clinics and homeless shelter. Now he serves food at the shelter and watches as the area gets more crowded.
Progressively worse. I mean, there were no people, maybe 2 years ago there were a couple of people, but now every day, all 24/7, there's at least 50 people across the street.
The numbers reinforce his story. According to Boston police crime logs, drug-related calls to Methadone Mile have skyrocketed from 31 in 2016 to 63 in 2017, 185 in 2018, and this year so far, 229 calls.
The whole area is really a failure of the mental health system and the drug rehabilitation system.
The problem exacerbated by the 2014 sudden closure of treatment facilities on Boston's Long Island. Patients were transported to the island for treatment, but eventually the old bridge was condemned and demolished, cutting off access to the island and forcing hundreds to find help in the city.
You really can't solve it if the more and more people you push into the area.
And Boston Mayor Marty Walsh is taking steps to reopen that treatment facility on Long Island in the hopes it helps curb the local opioid epidemic. But he's facing pushback from the city of Quincy, which provides the only land access to the island. In Boston, Christina Rex, WBZ News.
Okay, so I got tagged in this video by First Them News on Twitter. I can honestly say I did not know there was a such thing called Methadone Mile until I saw this. And then I typed it in, and Methadone Mile, like stated in the audio you just heard, is in Boston, Massachusetts. So you already know who this is affecting just on the location alone. And you can, and this right here is a collective of pictures. Like I went to the Bing website and typed Methadone Mile into the image search, and these are the pictures that came up. And these were just the pictures that could fit into the square from what I'm recording. This looks like Skid Row for meth addicts. You know how Skid Row out there in California is mostly just homeless people. I'm not saying that, not just homeless people, but they're probably also on something as well. But this one looks like it's just for those who are out there to get a hit, share needles and everything. And look, if you look at this picture right here where the cursor is, you see a needle right there on the ground. Like, imagine if a child was to walk through there and accidentally step on that, or if they were to pick it up thinking it was a toy. Like, that is, if I felt anything, I would say it looks tragic, but I don't. So I can't really give my emotional take on it, if you know what I mean. But like First Them News said in the caption of their tweet, but Chicago. Now, they love to talk about Chicago this and Chicago that all over the news, but they don't want to talk about Methadone Mile. Now, the stats that they just pulled up was from 2016, 2017, 2018, and 2019. And every year, those numbers have gone up. They don't have anything right now for 2020, but I have a feeling it's going to be higher. And they said in 2019, it was 229. So I'm banking it's going to be over 300 by the end of this year. And see what, and the thing that they have this year that they didn't have those last couple of years is the woo-woo. So there's that. And then they said that they're blaming it on the fact that they don't have any kind of mental facility to go to. Guess who didn't have a mental health facility to go to when they needed treatment? Black people during the crack era of the 80s and early 90s. They didn't have that, and we can see the residue of that to this day. So excuse me if my I guess you could say my feelings for this are low to non-existent, but it is what it is. Now, like I said, this is something that should be out there for the world to see, but we know they're not going to do it. If they're not even going to talk about the opioid plague on a national scale, what makes you think they're going to talk about a place called Methadone Mile that's limited, as far as we know, to one city? And it's in Boston, a very popular city. But they're doing their best to keep this hidden. Like I said, I didn't even know a methadone mile existed. Like, if you had asked me that a couple months ago, I'd have looked at you like you had two heads. Like, what is that? So you have Ohio, which is the hub for heroin, as I've already declared. And like rural America gets hit hard, and really hard because they don't have a lot of facilities out there because it's middle America, rural America. Now you have this methadone mile. Sounds to me they got more than one pandemic on their hand. They have several on their hands, to be exact. And then this is also karma for Boston as a city, because I've always heard and can confirm that Boston is a very racist city and has a very racist history, especially to its black residents, even to those who weren't even from there. So it is what it is.